Once upon a time, in a peaceful university, there was a young man named Arav. He was intelligent, full of potential, and had big dreams of success. But there was one problem: he wasted his time every single day. While his classmates were busy studying, improving themselves, and preparing for their futures, Arav scrolled through social media, played video games, and wasted hours chatting with friends about meaningless things. He told himself, "One day, I will achieve greatness," but that one day never seemed to come. His days blended together into a cycle of procrastination and distractions, never realizing how much time was slipping away. One afternoon, Arav sat in his college library, lazily flipping through a book while secretly watching videos on his phone. His mentor, an elderly professor named Mr. Mehta, walked by and noticed him. The professor, a wise man who had seen many students waste their potential, decided to challenge Arav's thinking. He pulled out a chair, sat down across from him, and asked, "Arav, tell me, if I gave you $1 million, but you wouldn't wake up tomorrow, would you take it?" Arav looked up confused. "No, of course not," he replied. The professor smiled. "Ah, so you're saying waking up tomorrow is worth more than $1 million, yet you waste it like it's worthless?" Arav had no response. For the first time, he felt the weight of his wasted time. That night, Arav lay awake in his dorm room, staring at the ceiling. His professor's words echoed in his mind. If time was more valuable than money, why was he treating it like something disposable? He thought about all the opportunities he had let slip away, all the moments he had spent doing nothing when he could have been working toward his dreams. Regret started creeping into his heart. He sat up, turned on his desk lamp, and stared at the pile of untouched books. Taking a deep breath, he reached for one. For the first time in years, he made a different choice. He started using his time wisely. At first, it wasn't easy. His old habits pulled him back. The urge to waste time was strong, but the professor's words were stronger. Arav set small goals for himself: 1 hour of studying, then 2. He started reading, learning, and pushing himself to focus. The more he worked, the more he realized how much he had missed. His mind, once clouded with distractions, now burned with a hunger for knowledge. He started waking up early, organizing his day, and setting priorities. The transformation had begun, and with every passing day, he was stepping closer to his true potential. As Arav changed, he faced resistance not just from himself, but from his friends. "Why are you studying so much?" they teased. "Life is short. Enjoy it." But Arav had learned something they hadn't. He knew that real enjoyment came from purpose, from achieving something meaningful. He no longer wanted to waste his life on temporary pleasures. Instead of wasting time on distractions, he found joy in growth, in seeing progress, in becoming someone his future self would be proud of. Slowly, his friends stopped calling him for parties, and he was left alone. But he wasn't lonely, he was focused. Weeks turned into months, and Arav's discipline became unshakable. He fell in love with the process of self-improvement. His grades, once mediocre, started rising. His professors noticed his change, and even his parents, who had once worried about his laziness, saw a new fire in his eyes. He began setting long-term goals not just for exams, but for his entire life. "I wasted years," he thought, "but not anymore." He developed skills, read books on success, and surrounded himself with people who inspired him. The more he grew, the more he realized that time was his greatest asset, and he would never waste it again. One evening, Arav was walking through campus when he saw an old friend, Rohan, still stuck in the same cycle of procrastination. "Man, how do you even study so much?" Rohan asked, laughing. Arav smiled. "It's simple," he replied. "I stopped waiting for the perfect time and started using the time I already had." That was the moment he knew he had changed. He wasn't the same careless student anymore. He had taken control of his future, and there was no going back. Years later, Arav stood on a stage, receiving an award for academic excellence. His professors clapped, his parents had tears in their eyes, and he felt a deep sense of pride. He had gone from a student who wasted time to someone who valued every second. The same professor who had once challenged him, Mr. Mehta, walked up to him, smiling. "I knew you had it in you," he said. Arav shook his hand and replied, "Thank you for showing me the truth." Standing at the top, Arav looked back at his journey. He remembered the wasted days, the lost time, the distractions, but he also remembered the moment he chose to change. He had transformed his life, not through luck, but through effort and discipline. The greatest lesson he had learned was simple: time is the most precious gift, and how you use it determines your destiny. Now, I ask you, how are you spending your time? Are you waiting for the right moment to start working on your dreams? Are you telling yourself that you'll start tomorrow, next week, or next year? The truth is, your future is built on what you do today. Don't wait, don't waste another second. Your time is your life, use it wisely.